Namaskar and welcome. Sometimes we can get caught in a feeling of isolation, confusion, fear, and loneliness. And what is the cause of this? It's when we get cut off from our feeling of connectedness. And when we feel lost in a little bubble in a meaningless universe. And one of the most beautiful, effective, and simple ways of overcoming that is a simple phrase, you think, therefore I am. This is a rewording, of course, of the famous phrase by Descartes, I think, therefore I am. But what we're saying here is not I think, therefore I am, but you, the divine, think, and that thinking is the cause and the sustaining factor of my existence. My very existence is only there because the imagination of the divine is sustaining it. The witnesship, the witnessing entity, the cosmic consciousness, is witnessing everything, and that witnesship is what is the fundamental cause and sustaining factor of everything. And I'm not excluded. My existence is there because of that witnesship. So you think, therefore I am. So what this does immediately is set up a very intimate connection with the witnessing entity. We feel its presence, and what could be a more intimate presence than contemplating the idea that the witnesship of the divine is what is why I exist. Because you are thinking of me, so I exist. I couldn't think of a more powerful connection than that. And the moment we remember it, it instantly helps us to, if we can accept that idea, it instantly helps us get out of our bubble, be aware of our intimate connection with the divine, and a wonderful sense of just getting outside our own little I bubble. We get caught in the feeling, I think, I do, I'm controlling my world, and the more we get in that perfectly normal way that everybody thinks, the more we cut ourselves off from our source. And to get back to that source, we have to remember that everything that's happening is sustained by this witnesship. It is thinking, everything is somehow being sustained and unfolding because of that. So the shift, the subjectivity shifts from me trying to control this universe, which is impossible, to this sense of a powerful consciousness controlling everything. So getting out of the ego bubble, which is sustained by I do, I think, I want, I feel, is practically boils down to changing that dialogue, that inner monologue from I to you. You think, you feel, you imagine, you control, you witness. When Descartes said it, I think, therefore I am. So what that amounted to was, I think, therefore I am separate. You think, therefore I am, emphasizes, you think, therefore I am part of you, connected, your own imagination. This is one of the most challenging ideas in spiritual philosophy, in yoga philosophy, that whatever exists in this universe is the internal creation of the Absolute. The Absolute cannot think of anything outside itself, because that presupposes the existence of something outside the Absolute, which means that the Absolute is not absolute. So absolute consciousness cannot have anything outside itself. Whatever exists must exist within it as its own inner imagination and creation. Just as a rabbit that you imagine in your own mind its existence depends upon your own imagination. If you withdraw that imagination, no more rabbit. And similarly, our own existence and the existence of everything is sustained within the Absolute by its own consciousness and witnessing. So that begins as a somewhat philosophical, theoretical idea, but it becomes personal and it becomes intimate if you think of it in this way. You think, therefore I am. Sometimes I like to think about the same idea with another very similar phrase, you imagining me. So this is the phrase, and our master Sri Sri Ananda Murti basically said that this idea of remembering your subject, that you are being witnessed, by reversing that role instead of you being the subject and seeing everything, constantly remembering at all times that you are being witnessed. And that might at first seem a little bit, especially for people who value their own independence, that may seem a little bit confronting. But people who value their own independence have to live with being alone and responsible for whatever. So I often come across people who say that there's nothing wrong with the ego and we shouldn't put down the ego. Of course, and the ego has its role to play, and we need to be able to function as independent beings and take responsibility for our life and our world. But nevertheless, as we evolve, as we grow from infanthood to childhood to teenage and adulthood, there's a transition, a psychological transition. In the beginning, we are very much dependent. Gradually, we win independence. But with it comes that loneliness and isolation. But slowly, and psychologists talk about this, we transform, we develop a greater sense of the we, feeling interdependent. And spiritually speaking, that continues to evolve until that hard-won independence that we have, we gradually surrender that and return to a state of dependence and total dependence on the divine. And as we surrender our independent I, a power flows into us and we become an expression, an instrument. We feel that we act with the force and power of as an instrument of the divine, and it becomes a kind of exalted dependence. We let go of something small, and in its place we are absorbed into something great, and the sense of that greatness fills us with a kind of happiness and joy and a sense of wonderful connectedness, of being part of love itself, of the divine itself. So this little phrase, "you think, therefore I am," is very useful and helpful, and immediately helps you catch that feeling of being part of something, of being intimately part of something, that one's very existence depends at this moment upon the witnesship of that which you love, of the divine entity. So the more we remember it, the more this, any sense of loneliness disappears. So there it is, a beautiful phrase, memorable because of its changing of that famous phrase, "I think, therefore I am." And the more you can keep it in your mind, the more it will bring a little smile and sense of connectedness to your everyday world. Thank you.